Hi, folks. Steve Urban here, founder and CEO at Riderflex. We hope you enjoyed today's podcast. And as a reminder, please subscribe to the Riderflex show for updates on new episodes. And by the way, if you haven't already, check out the book we recently launched, The Riderflex Guide, Inspiring and Hiring, available for purchase on Amazon. And now, a quick word from our sponsor.
Try the #1 marketing platform for small business. Everything you need from design to marketing to CRM. Learn more at marketing360.com. Marketing 360. Fuel your brand.
Oh, Landon, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Doing well. Thank you. How are you doing?
Hanging in there. Are you in Utah today?
Yes, I am. Yep. I was out of town last week, but back in Utah this week. So home.
Okay. We're recording this for the listeners, by the way, mid-April. Man, I'm ready for spring, bro. I don't know about you, but I know we both live in mountain states, right? So we're dealing with snow and all that is part of our lives. I live in Colorado, but this year in particular, I'm ready for some warmer weather.
Yeah. Well, I when I was out of town, I was at an Asia Pac conference, and so happened to be in the lovely location of Hawaii. And coming home from Hawaii is miserable no matter what, right? It's like, oh man, but coming into Utah, the streets are covered in snow. It was like a just monster storm, but we're starting to get the sun out. So
yeah, starting to see some signs, aren't we? We're starting to see some signs. So Hawaii, was it good? Was it a good time?
Fantastic. Yeah, business purposes, and brought my family for spring break, so worked out really well. Yeah.
First time they've been there?
My kids for sure. Yeah, they're young, 11 down to 4, so they had a great time.
11 to 4. Oh, how many you got?
We have 4 kids. So and I had, from the conference, I had this bottle. It was a BYU Hawaii water bottle, kind of thing that I'd got. And I gave it to my son yesterday, and he opens it up, and I told him it was from the chief fire dancer. Right. And so and there's like the little disclaimer note or washing instructions inside of it. And he pulls that out, and I was like, oh, he wrote you a note. This note says he saw you in Hawaii, saw that you're really strong and that you'll protect other people.
Wow. Cool.
So then he comes home from preschool yesterday, like way mad because his teacher threw it away. And he said, she promised that she will get it out of the garbage and bring it to our house. So anyway, yeah, that was our yesterday. He was a little ticked off. The fire dancer chiefs went missing.
You said 4 to 11, and 4 of them. It's busy at your house, bro. Busy.
It is. Yeah, it is. Yep. 3 girls, and then our last one is a little boy. So
okay, all right, 4 to 11. Plus now once they start getting into activities too, like whew, boy, there's gonna be no regular evenings at your house pretty soon.
No, yeah, it's already dance recitals and competition this weekend and all the fun stuff. Yep.
That's cool. What's your I was gonna say what's your wife do, but I'm guessing take care of 4 little ones, which is like a major job. That's a huge job.
Yeah, she does. It's a huge job, and she loves it. She goes above and beyond, with it, and it's incredible. So yeah.
That's great, man. That's great. How'd you meet your wife?
She was in a college class with my older brother, who luckily was already married, because he's like, hey, you got to meet this girl. She's great. You guys are a lot alike. And so yeah, he introduced us, and she made me work. Tell you what, I had
did she? Oh, what didn't you?
A lot of story there. So yeah.
Is that right? So it wasn't just like, oh, love at first sight, and she's none of that. No. Okay.
Yeah. She says she was joking, but when she left the first voicemail, we're trying to catch each other. She said something like, I've talked to your brother, and it sounds like we would be really compatible. I mean, I'll never forget hearing that word compatible, like on a first, like, whoa, yeah, I guess that's probably how my brother told her too. But then she made it so, like, went on a date, and then that was in July, went to Days of 47 rodeo here in Utah. Okay. And then it was, several months. I tried to get a second date with her, and she kind of punted. And then I think we talked in September. I was inviting her to a football game, and she's like, well, I can't, but I did get some ski tickets for this thing if you'd want. And I'm like, ski tickets? It's September. Like, you're really not that interested. So we stayed in contact. And then a friend of mine, I think you'll like this, probably your listeners will too. I haven't seen or heard anyone else do it, but a good friend of mine came up with this idea. He's like, hey, here's what you need to do. Let's buy some flowers. We'll go deliver them to her. I will, not me, Landon, my friend Isaac delivers her these flowers, and then has her sign for like a long distance delivery, just that she received them. And we put a bunch of like small print that's like, by signing this, I agree to go on a date with Landon before December 25th, or else
Cool.
I demand a delivery guy cookies and everything. So kind of fun. So I conned her into a contract and
That's good.
proposed into a similar way. So of course, so yeah.
That's pretty good, man. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good story. What school were you guys in? What college there?
We went to Weber State in Utah. Yep.
Okay.
That's where I did my undergrad. And then I went to Thunderbird for global management in Arizona.
Okay. So you grew up in Utah too, grade school, high school, all that?
For the most part. Yeah. My dad worked for the Air Force. So I lived in Alabama as a kid till I was 10, and then stopped in Texas, and then junior high school, Utah. Yep.
Utah. Okay. Very good. Are you folks still there? Still in Utah?
Yes, they are. Yep.
All right. Tell me about them, your mom and dad. So your dad was Air Force as a career yeah.
Correct.
Talk to me about it.
Yeah. He has a PhD actually,
Oh.
and worked a very middle income, secure government job that he hated. He just retired about a year ago. So anyway, but probably overqualified for most of his career.
Interesting.
My parents had 6 kids, so I was number 4. And my mom taught piano lessons after school to help pay the bills as well. Like, talk about busy. They had a bunch of athletes and
Is that right?
all the stuff, all the things. Yeah, exactly.
And what kind of kid were you? Were you an athlete too? Were you a rebel? Were you a straight A student? Like, give me how was Landon?
I would say I was kind of I tried to stay under the radar, but even maybe still, I'm like, hey, I'm the middle child that's trying to get attention here. So hey, can you listen to me? And then
I'm over here.
Yeah, that's right. I was the student body president in 9th grade and a captain on the football team. All of a sudden, it was like, oh, we've got this kid over here he's not a screw up.
That's cool.
No, it was, but they were amazing parents, and my siblings, and it was like, when you have a big family like that, your siblings also take on quite a bit of a parenting role too.
Mm-hmm.
And so I look up to my older and younger siblings a lot. So yeah,
that's cool. So you were athletics, you captain the football team. Were you good enough to play at Weber, or no? Not quite.
No, I
No.
don't think so. I was pretty small, and so lucky enough to be able to have the time that I did. So
did you play intramurals? Did you do any intramurals there and have fun?
Oh yeah.
No.
Yeah,
did you?
Okay. That kind of stuff's fun. Yep.
Oh man, yeah, I had a good time doing that too. We thought we were all like really athletes, but we weren't.
Yeah. Well, my little brother was a really great athlete, and they didn't cut him from the Weber State basketball team, which people know of Weber State basketball.
Right.
And he would have played with Damian Lillard if he would have stuck with it and played. But the coaches were essentially like, you may travel, you may not, you're not really going to play ever, but you could be a part of the team because you're good enough to hang with us. And
yeah,
he decided not to do it. And I'm like, well, that could have been cool. You and Damian might be buds today.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but that's a lot of sacrifice. I've talked to people about that in that situation. There's a ton of sacrifice to play at that level or be part of it at that level and sacrifice all of that time and never get to step on the court. Like, yeah, I don't know.
No, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm with
So
you.
did you know what you wanted to do when you were in school? I mean, did you kind of like, yes, I'm going to be this, or talk to me about your, as you moved through school, what you wanted to do?
I had a really cool job in high school. Even I got to be the manager at a country club over their pool and recreation area. So I got to hire my friends. That was the best job ever, and I was the manager, right? So
by the way, I love the fact that that's actually on your LinkedIn, pool manager. I love that.
Because
cool.
it was the best job I've ever had. Like I should have been paying them, I think. Like it was so much fun. Um, so much fun. But I remember hearing what an MBA was, right? An MBA, and someone explained it. It's like, doctors or lawyers, but this is for business people, and it means you. And I said to the person explaining it, "What, doesn't everyone want to be a manager? Like, doesn't everyone want to be a leader?" And he was like, "Nope." So
Nope,
maybe
they
you
don't.
should look into that. And I served a mission for my church in the Baltics. So I lived in Eastern Europe and Lithuania, Latvia, and had a lot of international exposure. Loved it. And it was like, well, I want to do international business, and I know I want to get an MBA. And I heard about Thunderbird, my alma mater, and
Okay.
so it was like, I'm going for that. I want to go to that institution. It's a specialty school for global leadership and global MBAs. So that's kind of what kicked everything off. Went to that school. I did a 6-month stint with Cisco Systems in San Jose, and then did some consulting for ExxonMobil in Africa.
That's great.
Yeah, studied in Europe, studied in Beijing, and then after that, it was like worked for Exxon and started a career in global business essentially. So doing what I studied.
But functionally, were you an analyst? Were you a numbers guy? Like, what was the function? Because when I'm studying you, getting ready for the podcast, I'm like, man, there's a little bit of everything in here, which by the way, is great as a business owner and an entrepreneur if you have all these functional experiences, right? That's awesome. But I
Yeah.
was looking, I'm like, okay, how did this flow here? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Great question. Because anyone that's looking at my resume is like, wait, what? So um the thought was companies like ExxonMobil that still do those traditional expat assignments. You can
Okay.
make a lot of money for being willing to live overseas, in especially a hardship country. And so
Mhm.
I figured I'll do accounting and finance if that means I can, go get an expat assignment.
Okay.
Um, and so I was an analyst, and I did global outsourcing, analytics, and some accounting, and started to see like it's getting really difficult to get those expat roles. Maybe I want to go home. And well, actually, this is something maybe good for your listeners who are going through the job seeking
Okay.
phase.
Okay.
I took an aptitude test before graduate school, not an aptitude or like what your
Yeah.
skills, your interests, your motivators.
Mhm.
I could give you the link afterwards, called Career Leader. It's through Harvard,
Okay.
and it steered me to sales. And I was like, I want to be a consultant, I want to be in corporate finance and all these more prestigious, I guess. So I ignored it, thinking it's because I did sales during my undergrad. And then, after 4 years at ExxonMobil doing accounting and finance, I retook that same career leader assessment, and it put, on a scale of 1 to 100, corporate finance was 30, accounting was 11, and then like everything in the 90s was like sales management, sales leadership. And so I ended up making my way to a company called Pluralsight, where I was on their international sales team.
Okay. And
Covering
that all comes all the way back from your childhood, right? Like early on as a leader, even you mentioned as a leader on the football team and in sports, the pool manager, which working at a country club takes lots of people skills, right?
Yeah.
All of that goes all the way back to that EQ was being developed way back then, right? And it
Oh
just
yeah.
stayed there. and then,
Yeah,
and then
that's the natural
yeah.
skill, and accounting and finance was really forced. It was
Yeah. Gotcha.
really, learning how to do all that and competing with people that are incredible and, passionate about it. It was
So
something else.
that's
But
how, okay, that's how all right. I was wondering kind of how that flowed. I appreciate you. Yeah, explaining that. Okay. So now you're in your element, so to speak. You're dealing with people,
yeah,
sales, relationships, things like that. Okay, good.
I claim to be a recovering accountant, so I can still geek out in spreadsheets and have a good time, truthfully. But
That's good.
yeah, so
That's
in my
good.
element for sure.
And then when you were moving along, did you always have was the entrepreneurial thing kind of like eating away at you, or that came in later? How did that settle in?
So the story of, from my career perspective, the head of international at Pluralsight, where I was, he, recruited me there, and then he ended up leaving to a consultancy,
Okay.
where, they help companies expand overseas. and I followed in there again with my passion for global and
Okay.
in sales.
All right.
And we had
Not
the
married, not married at the time.
at the time married. Yeah.
Ooh,
Uh-huh.
ooh, ooh.
Yep.
And,
Yep.
and did she go with you?
Well, no, so it was same geography here in Salt Lake. Yep.
I see. Okay. All
Mhm.
right. Right. All right.
Yeah. So
What I was trying to figure out is, did you ever have any overseas assignments where you had to drag your wife and kids along with you, or no?
no, the
Okay. Good. All right.
6 weeks I did in Africa, they did not come. So
Okay.
I would have
Okay.
liked to. She would like to as well, but we didn't ever do
Okay.
that.
Okay. All right. Sorry, I didn't mean to get you off path there. I was just wanted to see if, yeah, go ahead.
No, yeah. So anyway, that leader went and so to answer your question about the entrepreneur bug, no, I didn't have it at all. I liked the idea of working for a company in a secure environment and growing a business and everything, but we had such an incredible team there and such limited control on the delivery of the service.
Okay.
And a couple of other things that I was saying to my co-founders for years, like, let's do this, let's do it on our own. The for our offering is huge. And so I happened to be able to pick a couple of my best friends and colleagues that I've ever worked with. And
Okay.
so the entrepreneur thing was really more like it's in front of us. Why would we not do it? Let's do it. So,
Wow. Okay. All right. And did you talk to me about that transition? Did you quit your job? Yeah, talk to us about the leap.
yeah. So I left that company and did a stint or two in between that aren't necessarily relevant to the entrepreneur conversation, but
Okay.
I those experiences gave me enough to see that the life of a founder, the life of a true startup, starting
All
from
right.
scratch, it is a grind, and I've learned a lot from those two companies. And then in this position, I mean, yeah, it's like I think I saw a meme. I wish I need to dig it up, but it was like for startup leaders, I didn't do this because it's easy. I did this because I thought it would be. And so there's a piece of me that's like, there's some truth to that. I thought this was a lot easier. We go get a couple of anchor clients and we grow a business and hire people and we're off. And
Yeah.
it's that easy. Sure.
Yes. Because were you at a place called ISO Talent or something, just in a regular job, and then you called your buddies and you guys designed this thing, and then did you work nights and weekends and ease into it? Did you all just quit your jobs? Talk to us about that.
Well, frankly, yeah, I was an executive at ISO Talent leading their go-to-market efforts, and it's a recruiting agency. And I had told them we need to do this global offering. It's a great way to get recurring income. I've done global for my life, and then it's an itch that's not being scratched with general domestic recruiting. They said, okay, we've got an appetite for it. I recruited these my current co-founders to ISO Talent.
Oh.
And then things shifted in understandings and the business model, the cap table, all those kinds of things. So our CEO, my one co-founder, after seeing the writing on the wall for just a couple of weeks, he said, I'm out. Let's do this on our own. And so May 1st will be the day that we all three quit our jobs with no income and said, let's go.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, let's take a breather right there for the listeners. All right. So you're at this ISO Talent and you see the need for some sort of global talent tool. You present it to the leadership team at ISO Talent. At first they like it. You kind of headed down the path, but then some things happen with the company where you're like, oh boy, this ship is taking on water, and you guys all get together and you're like, let's do it. And then you all three of you are able financially, personally, all three of you were able to just quit your jobs and go with this thing. That is very hard. The reason I'm digging in on that is because so many people I talk to, they have a business idea or they're an aspiring entrepreneur, but the thought of quitting their job, and they're like, well, how am I going to make my car payment? How am I going to make my rent payment? How am I going to, all three of you were able to do that. And is my internet hanging up, Landon?
It did for just a second, but I understood your question. I definitely gathered the question. Yeah, the piece when I was at ISO Talent, even first interview, I said, this is my passion. Global is my passion. I would love to be able to do it. The problem was they didn't want to allow me to get into that global side because I was, like I said, an executive on the sales and marketing side of the business. So they wanted to keep me over on talent, not on global, and then changed, anyway, yes, great people, love them, have a lot of great friends there. But the way that ended up working out led us to, didn't want to do the nights and weekend thing because we'd be competing against them, right? Like,
I see.
That would have been a conflict of interest. The honest thing to do is to say, sorry, I don't want to compete against you.
I see.
We're out. And I posted about this a couple of weeks ago. We raised some seed money, but like a couple of people saying, I would invest in you. You betcha. Like,
okay.
Okay. Like, yeah, that changes everything. Now we're talking, right? So, and frankly, like there wasn't, for some of them, dollars came later, but just hearing someone say like, yeah, I would invest in you. Don't do it under someone else and grow a business under someone else's company that's already giving you a hard time about wanting to do it. Go for it. Like do it with your co-founders that it's almost risk-free. You have relationships and partners and like go for it. So
wow, that speaks to the importance of relationships and networking over the years, right? Because you had built up trust and these solid relationships with people in your life at that time that knew you, respected you, trusted you. And then when you talk to them about it, they're like, hey, yeah. And great job on your part to just have that kind of network to support you there. Even if at first it was just verbal, like you said, it's great to hear it. Right. So that's good. Yeah. How'd your wife react when you're like, hey, yeah, I'm going to do this. I have no idea how much money I'm going to make.
Yeah. Well, we had sold a house and bought a new one and actually ended up having a little bit of slush, some savings. Right.
Okay.
And so
all right.
He was very clear, like, you should do this. She was on board with me saying, you got to get Freddie and Tyler to do this, get, so cool. When I was recruiting them to ISO talent, and then even during those first couple of weeks where it was like, yeah, you guys need to do it on your own, go for it. So she was incredible. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So it's you and two co-founders at Listo Global. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Okay. All right. All right. And what is it? 33. What's the cap table? Can you share? Or how are you in charge? Who's in control, Landon?
Yeah, it somewhat similar to that. Yeah, I wouldn't give the exact figures, but Freddie is our CEO. He's the best in this industry, I believe. He's a true, Simon Sinek. He loves people, cares about people deeply, and people feel that. So, we have a line of great talent that want to come work for Listo. Awesome. Already, because of his leadership and who he is and what we're building. So he's our CEO, and then Tyler he was the general counsel for that consultancy. So he's a lawyer. On the call before this, and he's fantastic. So so it's myself and Tyler and Freddie, and then we have two others on our team on W2, Gene and Judy, who are also incredible. And then we have a whole bunch of different contractors. We eat our own dog food and hire from around the world. Great. And, leverage lower cost markets, and we're off and growing.
So out of the three founders, functionally, you had a CEO, you had a sales guy like yourself, and you had a lawyer, which is great. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
But you didn't have you didn't have a software engineer. You didn't have a coder necessarily, right? So how did you get Listo built from that perspective?
Well, so Seth is our tech co-founder.
Okay.
And he's transitioning to pursue a different passion of his in the AI space. So I didn't mention him because that fact will be outdated here in probably just another month or two, but he's fantastic. Like 6'8" basketball player. I was worried that he didn't know how to code because he just looks like such a dresses cooler than anybody in the office. And then finally I heard him like geeking out about Pokemon or Lord of the Rings or something. And I was like, we're good. We're good. So anyway, we've had a third-party consultancy that looked at the work Seth's done and as he's making this transition, and he said, this is the best startup code I've ever seen.
So great. So that's I see. So that's important for the listeners, because if you have a tech play of some kind and none of the co-founders are engineers, software engineers, or none of them can code, it's much harder.
It is. Yes. Uh-huh.
So okay, gotcha. All right. So he's gonna go do something else with AI. That's a whole nother podcast, by the way. Yeah, that's a
Happy to
this
introduce you. He's a great person. Yeah.
yeah, you should intro me, especially if he's going to be a founder at another company that's AI related. We've had lots of guests on. I tell you what, man, that's a whole nother, the whole AI advancement and chat GPT and robots and things at Landon. It's moving at light speed. And I'm glad I'm almost 56 because you guys, the younger guys, can worry about where all this is going. I'll be retired.
Isn't it? Yeah, it's pretty wild what's happening. So
yeah. Anyway, okay. So it's listoglobal.com. What does the Listo stand for? I should probably know. I probably should have looked that up ahead of time.
it's a little bit of a tell because it's Listo if you speak any Spanish. It's also
it's Listo. Sorry. Should I be pronouncing it Listo?
Well, now that
Okay,
I'm told Listo in
sorry.
Spanish,
Oh, my fault.
don't be.
Listo. All right.
Yeah, no reason to be sorry. When people first meet us and they say Listo, it tells us, oh, you probably know a little bit of Spanish or have done some work in Latin America, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
No worries. But really common, Listo, are you ready? Are you ready? So if you or go on vacation to Mexico or Costa Rica or something, you'll hear Listo quite a bit.
I see.
So, yeah, so it means ready, and we incorporate that into our values. We're ready to serve, we're ready to help, our clients and their employees. And so that's where Listo came from. And and we make it easy for businesses to find, hire, and pay a global team. So
and is it the platform? Is it a SaaS company or a recruiting or a staffing firm, or how do you describe yourself to investors?
Yeah, not staffing. We have clients who are staffing companies. So it is the platform. And then we partner with companies like yours, like Riderflex, on the recruiting piece. And so primarily our recruiting partners are in country, right? So if we're talking to a company that says, I'm interested in hiring global talent, I just don't have any and don't know where to start. I've, not traveled a lot. So then I say, well, let's pick your region, and we help, consult companies on where and what type of role and then what cost savings may be out there if there are some. And then we'll go forward and start recruiting for them using our partner network of recruiters around the world.
I see. Okay. So you have partners like Riderflex that will find the people. And then once the people are found, your platform is how they're processed and how they're paid and how you're following all the paperwork rules or whatever, right? The taxes.
You got it. Yeah, you got it. So, I mean, the question to ask, like if you were Riderflex, and it's like, if you had a partner who could help you handle all the complexities of global.
Yes.
And would you be open to hiring globally? Yes. Okay, then let's use, and so we have, Riderflexes in Eastern Europe and in Latin America and in East Asia and all around the world that we'll work with to present candidates to our clients.
I see. Okay. So would this apply then? We had a phone call, I don't know, 6 months ago. They wanted us to do a bunch of hiring in the Philippines. And we, at first we said yes. And then we were like, do we really know? I don't even know where to begin. That's when we would call Landon and be like, hey man, let's chat.
Yes. Yep. Let's partner on that deal all day. Yep.
I gotcha. Okay. Everything from the taxes to compliance to whatever. And does it apply for 1099 and W-2, whatever? It doesn't matter.
Correct. And that's a big difference. Yes, it does.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And what's your business model? How do you make money? Or is it a SaaS platform per user? How do you make money? Go ahead.
So on the recruiting piece, frankly, that's not we're not trying to make money in recruiting. I mean, we need to cover ourselves, so we're not taking a loss on it.
Okay.
But if you were to say, hey, we have a client that wants to hire people in Philippines, we can go get a team that will do the sourcing and screening and present candidates to you for you to be able to vet and present to your end client.
Oh,
So that's the recruiting piece. But on the employment and how we make money, to answer your question, yes, on our platform, if you want to pay a contractor through our system, it's $45 per month per contractor. And we have the
doesn't matter what level the contractor's at or what the contractor's making. Doesn't matter.
doesn't matter. Yeah. So and it doesn't matter which country either. So you name the country, name the contractor. It's really just a SaaS fee for the contractor.
Okay.
Now, if you want to employ someone in a different country as a W-2,
Mm-hmm.
now you're looking at, you've got two options essentially. You know what we call a W-2, that acronym or that code doesn't exist. They don't have the IRS in the Philippines, but if you wanted to be able to give them benefits and their social security and everything like that,
Right.
you either set up a legal entity in the Philippines and hopefully you have $100,000 in 6 months and lawyers to get that done compliantly. And you don't want to do that. You're just wanting to hire a back office team in the Philippines. So you can use our employer of record, which means instead of you setting up a legal entity, use ours. And we will employ them as what we call in the US a W-2.
Okay.
And that fee can range anywhere from $400 up to 1,000 or 1,300, and that does depend on the employee and on the country. And so that's how we make our money, is that employer of record offering, where we are the employer, they're paid through our platform, we're the legal employer, we're not doing any day-to-day management. So so employer of record and contractor payments through our platform is really what we're doing.
Okay, so if I want this W-2 employee that lives in the Philippines, they officially are your employee on paper, but I can manage them, but I'm managing them, and then, but technically they work for you. Is that right?
Yes, technically and legally, they are a Listo Philippines employee.
Okay.
So that way, because when you want to register that person with the Social Security Administration of the Philippines, or Costa Rica or Lithuania, whatever it may be, they need to have that employer identification number, and we have that. So then we can register them, and all of their taxes or their payroll taxes are paid. Everything's compliant and kosher. But then from your side and that employee side, their LinkedIn will say your business, their business cards are yours, their email address is yours. They're not representing Listo. They don't work for Listo. We really only, are working with them if there's any HR issues or payroll issues.
And if there are HR issues, am I coaching Mary? Am I the one writing Mary up, or I'm calling you to say, hey, Landon, how does that work?
Correct. Both, right? So you're doing it through us, with us. If you're writing someone up, if you have to terminate someone, if there's an issue, if they are being harassed, right? Any of those kinds of things, you are involving us from an HR perspective.
Am I doing the coaching though? Like, am I calling her on the phone saying, hey, you screwed this up? Or
I guess it would depend, because you're managing their day to day. So if you're doing performance improvement, you wouldn't necessarily call us and say like, hey, can you have them like use, they need to find the shift key on their keyboard because they never capitalize letters in their emails. That's generally not coming to us.
I see.
But if you are looking to, hey, they're on a performance improvement plan, if they don't show up at work another time in the next 3 weeks, we can let them go. That can come through us. Yeah.
Okay. And you're taking care of benefits, vacations, PTO, all that.
Yep.
If I fire them and unemployment, you're dealing with unemployment. You're dealing with all that stuff.
Yes and no, right? Because there is severance in a lot of these countries. And so if you're letting them go, that's another piece where we're coaching you through that as we onboard you with these employees to let you know that here's their employment contract. They have a notice period, there's severance requirements. So if you want to let someone go, then we're having a conversation about it for sure. Yep.
I see. Okay. Interesting. All right. Very good. What do people like me do that aren't using Listo? They're probably not following the rules. They're probably like doing stuff that's not, I don't know, proper, right? I don't know. You tell me.
What we've seen is that they use, only, I think we talked to an industry analyst that said only 20% of HR leaders know about employer of record. And so the others are doing I would say one of three things. One is they don't know how to do it or what to do, and they know it's illegal to just wire money to contractors. So they don't do it. They don't know that there's a simple solution. So most don't know. Next is they do just say, hey, like I'll PayPal this person. Just have them start coding for us. We'll figure out a way to pay them. Let's just go, right?
And people are doing that all the time, like all the time.
All the time.
Wow. And technically that's illegal. So if there's like some little ABC company over here, some little startup in Colorado, and they're like paying some coders in the Ukraine, through PayPal, like you're not supposed to do that.
Correct. That's illegal. Right.
Wow.
On both sides, right? Because I mean, it's like if you're paying, because in the US, if you have someone coding for you and you Venmo them, like, thanks for the code. And, if it's under $600, like slap on the head, nothing, right? But if you're Venmoing someone every month for services and you're paying them $6,000 a month, like, like, oh, this is illegal. It's not right. Because there's not any payroll taxes deducted. There's no benefits being paid. So if it's just the way that is overseas doesn't make it not legal or legal. Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't the way they're getting around that is that the Ukraine, they set up an entity that the PayPal is going to instead of a person. And so then the American company is treating it like a vendor.
Yes. And that is fine. If they're doing it correctly, with some caveat that employee, that independent contractor vendor, needs to act like a vendor, not an employee.
Yeah.
So now the company saying like, hey, we need you to work weekends. We've got a big sprint. It's like, well, that's just your vendor. You don't get to dictate that. So
yeah,
we'll have misclassification problems, but that is a good workaround. Not as commonly used. Again, we see Western Union, MoneyGram, PayPal, it's like, be careful. And just have a conversation with us and we'll help you to button it up correctly. And there's still a lot of labor arbitrage out there that the cost savings, to pay $45 a month plus, or employer of record, so $500, $800 a month.
Yeah,
you're still saving a lot to hiring Ukraine.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, no doubt.
Way.
No doubt about it. Okay, very good. And you said the 1099. If I just want 1099 workers over there, you can process them as well, but I guess it's a little bit different, or no.
No, it's really easy. It's self-serve. You can go to listoglobal.com, create an account, and start paying your workers as 1099 contractors in the platform. 1099, again, IRS acronym, IRS code. But it's so you can jump in and pay them right away.
Okay. Do you help companies follow the rules between how you're supposed to treat 1099 and W-2? Because that is a very deep gray pond.
Yes, we are always available, encouraging, and striving to help our clients to get that right. Yes.
Okay.
Whether they obey that or not necessarily, right? That's still up to them. But we can coach them on how to make that the correct classification.
Okay. Do you have legal partners? Some employer, some worker over in Ukraine wants to sue us and whatever. And do you have like avenues for that?
Well, again, our Tyler, one of our co-founders, he's a lawyer, former general counsel for the global consultation that we worked for. So it's great. Like, people are like, oh, you have a lawyer as a co-founder? That's kind of cool, interesting. And it's like, well, if you know our business, a lot of it is legal and compliance and classification.
Yes.
And we have a network of lawyers worldwide. So similar to our network of recruiters that we have around the world, we have lawyers and accountants worldwide as well. Yeah.
And same with HR consultants around the world that they're in these different countries, and they all have different rules and different weeks of vacation and all of this stuff, right?
Yeah, we have HR partners, and then a lot of the HR people are who we bring in-house. So we have a gal in UK. She's phenomenal. She helped, she set up HR for Tesla, right? Like, she's incredible. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, some of them we have in-house, and then a lot of them will rely on partners in country.
Okay, very good. It sounds like a great resource so that business owners like me can hire overseas and just not have to worry about a bunch of details, man. Like, just take care of it. You're kind of like my tax accountant. I can just like give you all this stuff and just be like, here, can you please do this?
Sure. That's exactly right. Again, if you had a partner that could handle all the complexities of global, would you do it? And most people are like, yeah, let's do it.
Yes. I mean, is your target small to medium-sized businesses? What's your target right now for clients?
Yeah, it's small to medium. We have some big, billion-dollar companies that work with us. A Johnson and Johnson or a big old like a Facebook or something. They have more lawyers than we have. You know,
Yeah.
they don't necessarily need us. They have entities all around the world. So
Yeah. Yeah.
in some cases, mergers and acquisitions, they'll bring us in. So we've done work for the Motorola's and Schlumberger's and some big
Okay.
players where we'll come in and consult. But for the most part, yeah, a lot of our companies are smaller
Okay.
shops that want to hire 10 people in France and get their sales going in France, or yes, a dev team in Costa Rica or something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Are you industry agnostic or are you focusing in certain areas?
It happens to be that the environment right now, and maybe also being in Utah and Silicon Slopes, that a lot of our business that comes is software related.
All right.
Um, but we've always been, industry agnostic because there's needs in every industry to leverage global talent.
Okay. Are you, by the way, one more time for the listeners, listoglobal.com.
ListoGlobal.com. Yeah.
It's LIST. I kept calling it list. Sorry, listoglobal.com.
That's okay.
Competition. And super secret sauce patented. How do you protect yourself from the competition? I think we've actually, we've had a couple of people on the podcast with similar, platforms. I don't want to mention their names, so I'm not going to call it your competition on this episode,
Okay.
but, I know you got some. How do you differentiate yourself? How do you protect yourself from that? Talk to me a little bit about it.
Yeah, I'll mention kind of two categories of competitors.
Okay.
One of them was like the pioneer. So my team, we've been in this space, especially EOR, since EOR was really born, that employer of record option.
Okay.
And so one competitor, we owe them big thanks because they built in these monster margins. So they would sell at $1,800 per employee per month minimum. So, there you go. Right, you're looking at 20 grand a minimum to employ someone outside the US. So we have them to thank for the margins that then another competitor came into the space just a few years ago and was slashing invoices. And coming in saying we'll do it for $500 or $600 per month. And they really took a lot of market share and a lot of investment capital from institutions. And frankly, they've done a great job with their fast growth. They've grown faster than Slack, Twilio, one of the fastest companies to ever get from 1 to 100 million.
Okay.
And I don't mind mentioning them, I'll sing their praises. It's Deal. They're doing incredible.
Okay.
But and frankly, who knows? Yeah, they've got some great people there that we know and have met as well. What differentiates us are a couple of things. One, our founding team is a team that has been doing this longer than Deal has been around.
Okay.
Deal set out to be a way to pay contractors, a fintech. And we've said, we'll do the contractors, but we've also got employer of record options. Oh, and by the way, if you do want to set up an entity because you have 200 people, we can help you do that too. We can do expats, we can do everything. So the level of expertise and experience of our team is top notch. And then the other piece is, and from a service perspective, that's really important because when your payroll's off, or if you do need to let someone go and you need some consultation, in a company like Deal that's primarily just software, right? We hear this a lot, that customer success isn't, you have to submit a ticket and then you wait a couple days and maybe you're going to hear back and then maybe you'll schedule a meeting. So for us, it's like, nope, you give us a call. Hey, I've got someone I need to let go, and we can help right away.
Okay.
And then the other piece is our network of recruiters like you. So the Deals and some of these other players, they'll refer you to a recruiter and say, like, work with them. Whereas we're saying, no, that you're still our client. We're going to bring you candidates. We're not trying to make our key revenue on recruiting. So we just want to be able to cover our costs, and we'll bring you good people.
Can it's not just for overseas, is it? What if I had a client here in the US that said, I just want contractors, and hey, Riderflex, can you guys hold them as employees? And I'm like, I don't want to hold them as employees. Can I call Listo?
You finally caught me on something I'm going to say no to. Yeah.
Okay.
We wouldn't do that unless they were overseas employees. you
How
know,
come? Well, but why?
it, at a certain point, like saying that we do everything global is really vague, and it's huge scope. Like, we'll do everything to make it easy for you to hire globally. If we start taking on like and US, then like what are we not, right? And so there's that piece to it that's like we don't want to be a US payroll provider. If you
Okay.
had a couple of contractors that you wanted to pay through our platform, sure, like why not? Of course. But we're not trying to become a US PEO, US HR. And a lot of our, and it would really crush a lot of our partners too,
Okay.
frankly. So
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. You got on your website that you just raised some cash, right? Is that is that the newest news? 1.7 million pre-seed?
yeah, it is.
Nice.
Yep. So
Nice.
it's
Uh,
been angels and overtime. And so we decided to announce that about a month ago, I believe.
cool.
So
Congratulations.
thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now you know that are you actually paying yourself? You're paying yourself a decent salary at this point.
Yeah, it's funny what inflation and everything else has done, because it's like, yeah, we're paying ourselves and still feel like we're in poverty. It's like, woo.
You're probably still not paying yourself what you were making as an executive for somebody else, are you? Probably not.
Correct. No, yeah, not there yet. So
It's all right, man. We all lived it. We all live that. All right. You do what you
yeah,
got to do I mean, hell, last year I think I had 5 recruiters. They made more than I did.
sure. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right.
You
Yep.
know, you do what you have to do as the entrepreneur and as a founder, right? To get it going.
Yeah.
But that's great. How much total cash raised so far then for life of the company? What have you raised?
Yeah, just shy of 2, and we stopped taking capital, for our business is doing well and we're
Okay.
growing revenues, and so we may look to raise capital again here later in the summer.
Okay.
One thing I'd say about that, just to your listeners, and if you have listeners who are mentors and or potential angel investors, or just by word of mouth, I posted about this, that like there's that saying, like the best compliment you could give me is to refer someone to me, like refer business to me. And I said, those people have never had an angel investor put money into their company before, because like those checks that were written by people that I know that believe in us,
Mm,
like that's a compliment. That is a compliment. You know what I mean? It's like
yes.
it's incredible. So even if you don't put in money, but to say like, if I had the money, I'd put it in because I believe in you. That just does so much. So
Yeah, no doubt about it. Are you sleeping okay at night? You waking up in the middle of the night sometimes in a cold sweat, or how are you doing? How you holding up?
God, it's like you just drilled in and you're following me or something. So yeah, there's the highs are really high and the lows are really low. And so during the hard times, it's oh boy, what are we gonna do? And I mentioned our tech co-founder, and so yeah, we're having some anxiety there, of course.
Yes, yes.
But overall, again, I wouldn't have made this jump if I wasn't doing it with people that I just completely trust and love, and they give me a lot of peace. My colleagues, my co-founders, of
Yeah.
knowing how great they are. So we know it's gonna work. It's just a matter of how fast and when it takes off. So
What if, hey, maybe Deal calls you and they buy you and you exit? That's a possibility, right?
it's like, I don't want to say likely that we would do it. It's likely that they will call at some point in the next couple
Yeah.
of years, because they have so much capital that they've taken.
Right.
So
Right. But
yeah,
you know what happens then? Then you get a little payout. You take some time off, and then you got to go start something else.
the problem is with that, Steve, is I don't know what I would do. Like anyone that knows me is like, this is perfect for you. It's like,
Yeah.
I love it. I love global. I mean, the part we haven't talked about is like how incredible it is to connect someone in a third world country, perhaps, with
Ooh.
an American company and elevate their life, change it forever. It's like, it's amazing. And so I love the career conference I was at, happened to be in Hawaii, and meeting with recent graduates out of the Philippines, out of South Korea, out of Japan, wherever. And to know that, like, yeah, we're going to help you find a job is incredible. So
Yeah, that is special, right? Because if you live in the Philippines and you're making $70,000 a year American money, like you're living pretty good, aren't you?
oh,
Right?
that's way good. If you're making 30, you're living really well in the Philippines. 70 is like,
that's,
whoa, that's filthy money.
We had somebody that lives, I don't want to get too specific here, but we have somebody that lives in a different country that does work for us. And they made over 125 grand last year. And she said, she just told me, she's like, you've completely changed my life. She's like, it just completely changed my life,
Wow.
And it is special, right? Isn't it? Right. At the end of the day, I know we all want to make money. Sure. We all have to feed our families, but boy, making a difference in somebody's life, it really is a special thing, isn't it?
Oh, it's amazing. Well, and just the connectivity of it, and like connecting mankind, right? Like God's family on earth, for you to have some employees in a different country and you get to know them and learn about their culture and, their family. What are they doing on the weekend? What are they doing on their vacation? And that unifying piece is also that's really special and something I'm extremely passionate about. So, yeah.
Doesn't it just annoy the crap out of you when you meet people here in the US that have never been to a third world country and they complain and you're like, bro, you don't understand how good we got it here, man. Come on.
when I was in Angola and I'd see kids, they couldn't speak English and they knew, they put their hand in their mouth and it's like, oh, but even recently some gals I was on a call with, doing a training and they're in a third world country. And so I said, hey, let's take a quick break. We've been on a Zoom for a long time. I'm not going to end the Zoom, but let's take 10 minutes and come back. Lo and behold, I came back 4 minutes later because I did the classic, man, open the fridge, nothing really there, whatever, shut it, grab a soda, went back. And, I was like, I'm back early. Looks like you are too. And they're like, yeah, we are. And I said, well, I looked for something to eat and we didn't have anything to eat. And both of their faces went, and I was like, oh no, and I'm just digging myself. There was no getting out of it. No, I didn't mean we're hungry, there's nothing to eat. I just meant nothing real good that I wanted. And then I'm like, oh, I'm making it worse. And there was never anyway. Yeah, but think about what that experience does to me and for those gals and the connection there. That's what I'm doing for them by employing them, training them, giving them skills.
That's great. And it makes you a lot more grateful just for your own life, right? You finish your day, you go home to those 4 kids and, you turn the water faucet on, fresh water comes out, you flip the switch, the light comes on, there's food on the table, all those little things we take for granted.
Yeah. We complain about, melting the quesadilla in the microwave, but no, that's amazing.
Well, Landon, congratulations, man, on everything you and your co-founders have built and are building. Congrats. Love the story. Great story. ListoGlobal.com. Appreciate you sharing everything on the Riderflex podcast.
Thank you. Very, very fun conversation and best of luck to you. Look forward to staying in contact.